Hey, yo everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing another Beast Wars review, and that will be of the big bot himself, Optimus Primal. Take a look at this bad bot right here. Now, two quick things. As with all my Beast War reviews, I will be reviewing all three figures. Which brings me to the second thing. This is probably going to be the longest video of my Beast War reviews because Optimus Primal has three figures, and there's a lot to say about him in each figure. Especially seeing that the Optimal Optimus figure has four forms. So, be prepared for a long video. A little information about Optimus Primal. Not to be confused with Optimus Prime, because he is not Optimus Prime. Actually, I think Beast Wars is the only Transformers series that has the main protagonist not be Optimus Prime. Despite the similarity in natures and name, he is his own person. So Optimus Primal. Optimus Primal is a descendant of Optimus Prime. How that works with Transformers, I'm not sure. Maybe they're made from the same parts. But he is a descendant of the original Prime. And he is a captain of a science ship, the Axelon. Now, he enjoys exploring. He has a very exploration-like nature. He loves to go into new planets, finding new life forms. He could very well be in Star Trek if it was a different series. He loves exploring. He loves science. He loves discovery. However, fate took a different turn for him. And Megatron intervened and the Beast Wars happened. See, Megatron was escaping from Cybertron and the Axelon was the only ship within range, so they pursued the dark side and they both got shot down over prehistoric Earth, going through that trans-warp time portal, for lack of a better term. For those of you that aren't proficient or don't know that much about Beast Wars, it's all set in prehistoric Earth. The reason why is because they went back in time. So while these Transformers are actually descendants of the original Transformers, it's set earlier period. Anyways, the Beast Wars ensue, and Optimus Primal is in the thick of it through the whole entire thing. He brings in new recruits. He tries to make alliances with the enemies, try to make peaceful negotiations, but in the end, it's a war. It's a battle, and he's in the thick of it through the whole entire thing. At the end of Season 1, the cliffhanger was that Primal died, but his spark was plucked from the Allspark before it could fully be integrated, and he was put into a new Transmetal body. Not Transmetal 2, Transmetal. And the Beast Wars continued. And the end of Season 2, the big finale was that they found the Ark, the original Transformers, still in stasis lock from their journey from Cybertron. And Megatron, in his continuous stroke of geniuses, and I'm not being sarcastic, Megatron is that smart, decides to destroy the original Optimus Prime, erasing history and reforming it so that the Decepticons win. However, Primal merges his spark, or shares his spark, and Prime's spark in one body and transforms into his optimal Optimus form. And again, he leads the Maximals to victory against Megatron, bringing him back to Cybertron. But the story does not end there. We then shift into Beast Machines, where Primal takes on a different role. Although he's still a warrior in a sense, is still a leader, still kind of an explorer. He becomes more clerical in nature. He starts to find the essence of what it means to be a Transformer, to find the balance between techno-organic, organic, and technology, and to merge it all together, to bring Cybertron back into a new golden age. He believes heavily in this stuff, and he gets sometimes a little too preachy. It gets to the point where some of his cohorts, his underlings, are a little concerned in that he's actually relieved of duty. But Prime proves time and time again that his resolve is strong, his motives are strong, and his beliefs are strong. And although sometimes sounds like a crazy nut, he takes on Megatron in the final battle, which was epic. And they reformatted each other. And that is the conclusion of Primal. We don't know what happens to him. We can just assume him and Megatron get reformatted and disappear, but some of the comics try to pick up where Beast Machine left off. None of it canon. Personality. There's a lot to be said about Primal. Primal has many of the qualities of his ancestor Prime. You know, he has actually a similar story too, because see, Prime started off as a robot that's just a worker, and he got thrust into this war that he's almost reluctant to go into. And Primal's the same way. Primal does not want to be in this war. He wants to explore, but he is willing to do his duty. He believes in compassion, freedom, for all lives, all sentient beings. He has many of the best qualities of Prime. The big difference between the two of them is the fact that Prime deals with these things in a very robotic sense, where Primal deals with things in a very human sense, for lack of a better term. He often gets depressed over the war, the friends he's lost, the actions that have happened. He goes through states of depression. He stays strong for his troops, but in himself, he has self-doubt, he has that depression, and although it's not throughout the whole entire series, there's points where you see that this guy is weighed heavy with his duties and weighed heavy with the repercussions that can come from this war. So he's a lot more emotional, and he takes things a little bit more to heart than his ancestor does. And it's hard not to talk about Primal without actually talking about Prime, because there is a lot of comparison between the two. But Prime is more of a battle-worn veteran, where Primal is a little bit more of a younger, more youthful individual. I mean, he could be 1,000 years old for all we know. Actually, he's not, because there's 300 years between G1 and Beast Wars. But he could be like 100 years old, but his mentality is that of maybe a late 20s, early 30s-year-old, where Optimus Prime has a mentality of a 40 to 50-year-old. Of course, Optimus Prime is like a million years old. The Transformers' age and maturity grow at different rates. So Primal has a much more youthful sense to him. But he's very much the leader, and he is a good leader. Fantastic leader. He's not perfect. He makes mistakes. But he keeps on going, and he's the hero to everyone. He's really is the hero to everyone. And the rock that holds the whole team together. Well, the glue that holds the whole team together. Powers and ability wise, Primal, the way this is funny. When it comes down to Beast Wars, I like to do an interesting comparison to the original G1, in that of the normal Transformers of G1, the three best were Megatron, Prime, and Grimlock. Megatron had probably the most skill, Prime had probably the most armament to him, and Grimlock it was just overwhelmingly strong. They all kind of balanced each other out in a rock, paper, scissors format. Same way it goes for Beast Wars. Megatron has probably the strongest physical power, raw power. Primal probably has the best armaments, and Dinobot has probably the best skill. I mean, there's obviously other Transformers that come in that are either more powerful or have more armaments, but for the most part, that's the way I like to think it in a rock, paper, scissors way. That's just me. It doesn't apply to the show or everyone else. That's just what I took from it. But Primal is a very capable warrior, probably second only to Dinobot and Megatron in pure skill. He's actually able to hold his own against Dinobot and Megatron on a few occasions. When he first meets Dinobot, their fight ends in a draw. And although he does lose to Megatron sometimes, he also wins quite a few times. And especially in the final battle between him and Megatron, he holds his own against overwhelming odds. He has tons of weapons. He has his plasma cannons, his wrist guns, he has his missile launches, he has his jetpack, and that's just in his regular mode. Transmetal mode, he has dual maces, he has his gun, his surfboard, and in his Optimal Optimus mode, he has guns everywhere. Everywhere. He has a huge armament of weapons. Huge armament. On a whole, as a character, when I was younger, I didn't like Optimus Primal. I don't know why, but now that I'm older, I've rewatched the series several times. I love Primal. He's a badass. One of the best episodes was when he had that bug on him, and he went kind of crazy, and he's just tearing through the Predacons, and it is scary shit. He is a complete badass, but he's also a very down-to-earth person and a compassionate person. He's very much a big brother figure, too. He's the person that you always want by your side, because he's the person that will always watch your back. I really do like Primal, and his story is kind of a background story. Well, you're looking at all the other dynamic characters in Beast Wars, like Black Arachnia, Silverbolt, Dinobot, Rampage, and Depth Charge. Even Cheetor is hard. Sometimes it's hard to notice Primal story, but Primal story is a very stoic story. It's a very stand the test of time kind of story where he is that leader. So really cool character. On to the figures. Like I said, this is probably going to be a long video. This is the 10th anniversary edition, I believe, re-release of Primal. The main difference is that we have it be 100% more show accurate. Besides the size, one thing is that the American version of Primal was always a lot larger. He was Megatron size, where there was a Japanese release where he was show accurate in size. But this, other than the size, is almost completely show accurate. The main difference between this and the original figure is the face here. The color of the fur, and then the face for the robot mode has a mouth. The original figure had a face place like Optimus Prime does. But very show accurate, very good looking figure. I like the beast mode a lot. There's a gimmick where you can, this little tab makes him go like this. It almost never works for me. Maybe it's my figure, or maybe it's just I'm doing it wrong. But good looking beast mode. Has a lot of articulation, and Primal definitely had one of the best beast modes. His beast mode was great. Dinobot's beast mode was great. Who else? Megatron had a good beast mode. The Spiders had a good beast mode because they could do stuff with their beast mode. Prime could fight ridiculously well in his beast mode. Very, very good because it's just him without his weapons and his ability to fly. Transformation, I can transform this guy pretty quickly, although when it comes down to the other figures, I might have to stop for the transformation because Optimal Optimus has 4 forms to him. 4 forms, that's quite a lot. But the original Optimus Primal is figure-wise, is a pretty easy figure to transform. Takes less than a minute, which is good. Just transform that bad boy, bring that down there. And boom, that is Optimus Primal fully transformed in his robot mode. And as I said, he's humongous compared to what he should be in the show. Optimus Primal is a little shorter in his normal mode than Rhinox and Dinobot. But in this, he's much taller. Very show accurate face, very show accurate body. And the great thing about this figure is, although it may not be 100% show accurate with his weapons, it has badass weapons. This has guns coming out of his hands, guns coming out of his eyes, guns coming out of his ass, guns coming out of his toenails. He has guns coming out of his ears. He has them coming out of everywhere. My favorite weapon in particular is right here on the wrist, and let me see if I can pull it off so that you can see it. Boom. And you just press, and a gun comes out. Now, his gun was not like this in the show. His gun kind of mounted on his wrist. But I have to say I like the gun here. There's just something about it that's appealing to me. It looks pretty badass. And then there's missiles up top here, which you can then put in the gun. Let's see if I can get those in there. Come on. Work with Daddy. This missile does not want to go in. There we go. And the missiles go in there. And you can just fire them on the side as such. I'm going to take those out because I know I'm going to lose them. You can place the missiles in storage up here. And I'm just going to fold this back in here. Because like I said, Primal has tons of weapons. Hidden in his other hand, or arm, or wrist, you lift up there and he has a mace. Pull that mace out. If it wants to. Now again, he never had the mace in the show, but that just shows how badass this figure is. It has tons of weapons. The mace has kind of a skull, Aztec-like face, voodoo-ish. I don't know how to explain it, but you can release and then you actually have a string. And again, promptly it goes in the hand, and I kind of wish he had the mace. The mace is pretty badass. It kind of reminds me of Optimus Prime's original... no! Megatron had the mace in the original. Prime always had the axe. Back here, you have a button. You press it, and the swords are going to fall out. I already see one of them falling out, but you press it, and both swords fell. So let me grab those. Yeah, that's the one problem with it. If you press the missiles, the swords always fall out in the back. But you have the cannon launches up here. These flaps look goofy, but what can you do about it? But the missiles are cool. The missile launches look cool. Nice little feature. And then close that up, and then he has two swords, which he does use in the show, as he does with the missile launches. I never could tell when I was younger which end of the sword was the correct end. Is this the forward? Is this what you hit them with? Or do you hit it with this part? It's really odd. I know it sounds weird, but I believe, based on this, that this is the front of the sword. It's an odd-looking sword. They had it a lot better looking in the Beast Wars show. There we go. Get these in here. Okay, and there is his swords. Nice looking. On a whole, this figure is fantastic. One of my favorite Transformers. Just has a shitload of stuff. Again, it may not be 100% show accurate, but who gives a shit? Who cares if it's huge? It's badass. It's just a great looking figure. Let me actually show it to you other than putting its weapons away. Really good looking. Great articulation. Can't go wrong with this. This came in a 2-pack with the 10th anniversary Megatron. I don't know how much they are online right now. You might still be able to pick them up for a decent price. If you can get them for a good price, go for it, because they're definitely worth it. Great figures, great looking. I really do like this figure. Get another close-up of him. And then we're 16 minutes in, so let's see if we can get this under a half hour. Great looking. Love it. Okay, let's move on to the Transmetal form, shall we? Okay, on to the Transmetal figure. Transmetal figure is a lot more show accurate in size and in about everything else. As with all Transmetal figures, he has 3 forms: his vehicle form, his beast mode, and his robot mode. I have a lot of things I like about this figure, but a few things I don't like. So let's first take a look at the beast mode. Beast mode from here up looks good. Very nice. You can see the Optimus on right there. Great face, great color scheme. And then he has really stubby legs. He doesn't even have knees. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. If you're wondering what this is his gun. I'll get into that later. But yeah, no knees at all. Just flabs. So there's not much you can do with this figure articulation-wise. But it doesn't look bad in his beast mode. It could look worse. I think it's just... It's not that it's not show accurate either. It's just that's how the beast mode looks like. And then to get into his vehicle mode, all you do is adjust the feet. Again, I don't really need to go on these transformations too much. And Optimus Primal always had the oddest vehicle mode. It wasn't really a vehicle, but he has a surfboard that he can fly on. It's like Sonic the Hedgehog. Yes, a flying surfboard. Interesting, but yeah, he used that, and that's how he got across. That's how he flew. Primal was always one of the most consistent Transformers because he could always fly. And a lot of his weapons were almost always the same. So yeah, as you can see, these will turn out to be the robot legs. And his transformation is pretty easy. I probably don't have to stop it for this. Just take the gun off. You just adjust the feet, and you switch out the head, and it's really quite quick of a transformation. The one thing I can say about about his robot mode and his beast mode, is that if you look at his hands, if you take a look at his hands, in his beast mode he has more robotic hands as such, but upon his transformation, and it has to be the robot mode's hands because it works on the other side, are more gorilla-like with fur and stuff, which was always weird. It's like, okay, maybe you're keeping aspects of the beast mode, but still, it was kind of odd to have for the Transformer. But hey, that's just me. Whatever floats your boat. Almost done with the transformation. Just got to get this part up. And switch that around. And switch that around. Almost there. I have pieces falling off. These things are old, so I apologize. And lock that into place, and we are good. Okay. Optimus Primal in his robot mode. Transmetal robot mode. And I hope I got this right. I'm pretty sure I got the feet right. The knee pads are a little odd, but .9999999.99999% sure that's correct. But yes, the robot mode looks good. The only problem I ever had with his transmetal form, the only problem is the face, in and out of the show. It looks more beast-like than robot-like or humanoid-like. It just threw me off a lot. But besides that, great looking figure. Great looking beast robot mode. Now he has his gun right here. Let me show it to you so you can see it. Which goes on his side. There's a little flap right here that you can stick the gun on. This goes on there, and it fits in his hand. You can also put missiles in this, which I'll show you to you in a second. His gun always looked a little weird to me. It kind of looked like Harley Quinn's gun that she uses for toys. Really weird. I wish they had it looked a little different. But hey, you know, it's just one small thing. Now in the show, and I don't know if it was meant to do this for the toy, but this back section lifted up and came out as such. And what would happen is Prime would hold his hands out as such, and they would be like a Gatling cannon launcher. It shot out rounds. It didn't shoot missiles. It shot energy bolts. So I want to say more like a Gatling cannon kind of thing. And it's pretty badass. It looks half-assed, but it was pretty badass. And then what you can do is bring this back here, put his shoulders back on, and then the coolest part about his armament in its transmetal form, at least what I thought, was his melee weapons, which was his maces he used. Dual-wielding maces was pretty badass, especially for a robot. These things were devastating. He didn't use these overwhelmingly a lot, but still, they look pretty badass. I love those maces. And this is the missile that you put into the gun. I'm not going to bother because it looks silly. But on a whole, Transmetal Optimus Primal, he has a few flaws to him, but he's still really badass looking. Really great figure. One of the best of the Transmetal lines. It's just the face that bothers me with the robot mode and the lack of knees in the 8 mode, or the beast mode. But really good looking. Take a look at that badass. Loved it. And you'll find that Primal has consistently good figures throughout the series, him and Megatron. So with that said, let's jump into the big one, Optimal Optimus. Okay, on to the Optimal Optimus figure, which is right here. Probably pound for pound the biggest Beast War figure. Now, one thing is I want to show you is it came with a gun, a rifle, which he never used in the show. I'll show this a little bit later. I'm just showing it to you now so that it doesn't fall off him in any way. Now on the side he has missiles right there, which go into his gun. I'm going to take those off again so that they don't fly everywhere. Now, Optimal Optimus is the final form of Optimus Primal and Beast Wars. He gets one more form in Beast Machines. Now, ironically enough, the body for this was used in Megatron's last body. Watch Beast Machines, you will find out. This is the 8 mode, and it has 4 modes. Beast mode, flight mode, tank mode, and robot mode. Beast mode looks pretty good. You're going to find that there's a lot of similarities between all 4 modes. To have a quadruple changer, there's going to be kibble from each mode. Now, you can hit the side right here, inside the arm. Let me get the arm up. I want to be very gentle, because if you hit that button, the shield plating here will fly off. He used it in the show a few times. I want to be careful because they're just annoying. It's not that they're hard to put on or that they'll take a long time to put on. It's just annoying. Interestingly enough, fun fact is the Beast mode in Season 3 for Primal was only used, I believe, twice. The first episode, and then I think the episode where him and Cheeto are kind of walking around when he's Transmetal 3, or when he's on the verge of becoming... No, Transmetal 2. What am I saying? When he's on the verge of becoming Transmetal 2. The only problem I have with the Beast mode here is the belly looks a little weird, sticking out like that. But besides that, I mean, it looks good. It's pretty badass. It has good range of articulation. You can straighten out the legs. I have him in kind of a readied position because that's how gorillas walk. You know, their legs are bent and they're kind of in a ready position. But you can have them standing like such. See? There we go. Lock those into place. But on a whole, the beast mode looks good. It's probably one of the weakest of the modes because it doesn't really do much. But it's there. It looks good. It does its job. So one more look, and then I'm going to quickly go over to the next mode, which I guess I'll do plane or tank. I forget. Okay, so be right back. Okay, on to the tank mode. And I'm 90% sure I got this correct. It's been quite a bit of time since I've transformed this bugger. It's not hard to do, it just takes time. The tank mode at first doesn't look like the most appealing mode. It kind of just looks kind of silly, half-assed, but it has a certain sense of charm to it. I don't know what the charm is, I couldn't explain it, but there's something about this mode I just like. I guess it looks like it could just plow right through you, but it kind of it looks like a dude just laying down, too. But yeah, the tank mode was used once in a while, probably the second least used of the modes, along with the beast mode. But it looks kind of good. You have to really use your imagination with this figure sometimes. But the beast mode rolls, not the beast mode, the tank mode rolls pretty well. The wheels roll very nicely. And he'll tread on the ground pretty well. I think mine's slightly uneven. The turret can move around. You have to move the blades a little. The wings a little. But the turret can move around, which is cool. Put that up there. And it almost looks better if the wings were down like this. But I believe in the show they kept the wings up slightly. Yes. But that's the tank mode. There's not too much to say about the tank mode. It's just kind of there. It has a charm to it, but it looks silly. I'm not gonna lie. It looks like a dude laying down with a cannon on his back. So we'll just jump into the plane mode and then go to the robot mode. Be right back. Okay, I'm gonna need some distance for this because it's a big ass figure. But the plane mode, outside the robot mode, the plane mode is probably the best of the secondary modes. Let's just make sure everything's even. He still kind of looks like a dude just flying around. The only really problem I have with it is the arms. Superman pose, kind of flying around like that. But the play mode kind of looks badass, with the exception of the arms. It looks badass. I forget where you put the wheels. I kind of just tucked them underneath there, but it looks really cool. And it was probably the second most used mode out of them all, outside the robot mode, because I mean, why be a tank when you can fly? It's not like you're using a different gun either. Uh, but yeah, the play mode is pretty badass. Let's take a good look at that. And again, it's very similar to the tank mode, but for some reason it just pulls off the look a lot better. And it looks more like a plane, just with arms. I guess you have to live with it. Again, the turret can move around, a little bit more free movement in the turret because the wing flaps are down. You can take the wheels and you can put them up like that, or you can place them down like that. Either way, it's up to you. It really doesn't affect the figure in any way, shape, or form, but yes, that is the play mode. Looks badass. It is badass. With the exception of, I kind of wish the arms could, in the show they folded the arms down, or maybe turned them around like that, and he flew like that. But, what are you going to do? It's one minor problem on the figure. So let's finally get him into his last mode, the robot mode. Okay, on to the robot mode, which is clearly the best mode. And, wow, this figure looks badass when it's fully transformed. You can see a lot of kibble on it, there's no doubt. And like I said before, he's clearly a product of 4 different forms. But it looks good. It is a good robot mode. The only complaints I have with the robot mode is you can't kind of put the guns in like they were in the show. But it still looks pretty damn badass. Now this has lights and sounds, but mine don't work. It's probably the battery, but I don't care enough because I know a lot of people care about lights and sounds, but I really don't. I'm not gonna lie. The gun right here, which I showed you for earlier, the rifle. Odd thing is he doesn't hold it by the handle. There's a little hole right there. There's a little notch right there. You put the hole in the notch. And then let's see if we can get that in there. And then it looks like he's holding the gun. Similar to the Transmetal 2 Cheetor figure, which we will look at. But the gun looks okay. He has the missiles. I believe he comes with 4 missiles, but I'm probably missing a few. And I think my missile launcher and one of them are broken. Actually, no. They're holding in. Nice. Let's see if they fire. They never did that before. I always thought one of them was broken. Hey, the things you learn. But yes, just look at this guy. He is, without a doubt, the most fun when it comes down to Beast War figures. He may not be the best looking, although he looks badass. Very show accurate, but he is just definitely the most fun out of the Beast War figures because he has all those forms and he just looks cool. Give me 1 second. I want to just check something with his arm. Yes, as I thought. There we go. Thought something was off, but it's fine. But, you know, the color scheme looks great on it. You know, the orange and blue oddly works well. Great face, very traditional Prime-like face with the Primal swing on it, the Primal touch on it. Just a great looking figure. And quite possibly one of the best Beast War figures out there. You can tell the cockpit right here is where they house the Spark of Prime. You know, Tigerhawk and Megatron's Dragon Mode have the little cockpits. I think they were for mini figures, but they kind of dropped that concept. But yeah, still there. The back of the figure looks as such, and you can kind of place the wheels however you want. I just tucked them there. So yeah, that's Prime. There's not much more to say about him. Great character, and all around has great figures. They just look badass. The centerpieces of my Transformers collection from Beast Wars, along with Dinobot, because, well, I have Dinobot in front of him. So with that said, I'm going to end this video here. Optimus Primal. Hero, badass, gotta love him. This is Andrew saying, peace out for now.